how much code is AI generated in your code base?
I would
a lot.
argue 80 to 90% of the code would be AI
Wow.
generated.
What do you know about building an AI company now, which you did not when you get started? So people can figure out this is the right way to start.
So initially we thought it would be hard, right? But turns out it's actually harder than...
It's completely open source. And what do you think about open sourcing an AI company where majority of the AI agents are not open source? Why? What is the thought process? So this is Jarvis, a personal AI assistant, AI agent, which is built in less than 3 months by a 19-year-old and a 24-year-old founder who moved from India to UK to San Francisco and from Kazakhstan to UK to San Francisco, and how without a single idea, with some experience, you can get funded, how to get that J curve to get funded, what it is like building things so fast in San Francisco. We'll get to learn all of that, their experience of dealing with AI and especially building AI agents in the last 3 months. All that knowledge is packed in the next 50 minutes, which you can utilize and catch up, because most of the kids right now who are not reading AI news every day, they feel so left behind, and I'm here to help you catch up so you can join the race and build AI agents as soon as possible. So hello everyone, human habits are really hard to change, and integrating AI to your human habits has been challenging. Google is still dominating, even though alternatives like ChatGPT, Perplexity is there. So we have founders of personal AI company who came up with the idea to go where users are already and integrate AI in the best possible way.
So currently the problem is there's a lot of fragmentation. You have tools like Notion, Obsidian, you have information in WhatsApp, Gmail. Even Gmail has multiple inboxes a person has to manage, right? So we created an invisible assistant called Amurex that integrates into your existing tooling, creates a layer around you, and then helps you retrieve information and memorize things according to you. So it shapes itself around.
So imagine your notes in Google Docs, SharePoint, Microsoft Apps, Google Apps, your Notion, all your data, even your meetings in Google Meet and Zoom meeting, all data connecting, going to one place where you can chat with the AI, and you don't have to touch anything. You just have the brain available at every single place you are. Whether you're using Gmail, Outlook, everywhere you go, you have this database of your mind, and you can chat with your emails, you can chat with your Notion data at one place. This is fascinating. Can you go deeper into it?
Yes. So we created this unified search engine for you to help with the notes that you have taken already. And once you use that, you can search across all your online second brain, as we call it. And once we have helped with that, we help you capture the notes where you don't want to take notes, which is in the meeting. So we follow this invisible and omnipresent philosophy where we don't want to interfere in your tooling, but we exist in the background. So we help you take meeting notes and gather more context about you, but it happens in the background. And once we have helped you with that, the executive assistant also helps you organize it. So after that, the first step for organization is helping you organize your emails.
So hi, Sanskar Arsen, can you please introduce yourself, CEO and CTO?
Yes, that's correct. We are the CEO and CTO of the personal AI company, and we are trying to build the personalization layer of AGI, as we call it internally. But what we mean by that, it's an invisible assistant that quietly integrates into your existing workflow. So, hi, my name is Sanskar, born and raised in New Delhi, stayed there, did my undergrad from DTU, then moved to London to work there. Then while I was in London working as a software engineer at Bloomberg, I was also maintaining the open source project called Robin. And I worked and stayed in UK for about 3.5 years, and then finally left my job to start the personal AI company. And we joined an accelerator called EF, which is where I met Arsen.
It's like an incubator or accelerator?
Both.
Both. So this is an incubator and accelerator where you got funded and you can work from.
Yes.
Excellent. How about you?
Arsen, I'm 19. I was born and raised in Kazakhstan. Started my first company when I was 14. Led an ML engineering team when I was 16 at a seed stage startup back in Kazakhstan.
At 16?
Yeah.
What was the startup?
It was back home. We were building a platform for high school students. We were helping them to get accepted into universities. We were building a model that would build that roadmap, how to get from 0 to 1 to university. After that, I was working in different startups, moved to Silicon Valley, spent some time here, then went back to Kazakhstan and got accepted to EF.
So you both have been building really cool stuff from your college days. Your app, you open sourced a web framework better than Django, better than Flask, and faster than it, and it got 3 million downloads and so many stars on GitHub. And what about you? Like, what have you been building? Like, can you break them down?
No, I actually started my first company at 14. It was not a startup. We were just building. It was a web agency. We were building websites for companies. It was during the pandemic, during the lockdown. After that, I started the startup when I was 15, and yes, it got acquired when I was 16, and that's why I was promoted to head of AI at a startup that got us acquired.
Wow, you are 18 now and you're 24.
I'm 24, yes.
Wow.
And I'm 19.
19,
Yes.
Really? This is so brilliant. So you both had experience building stuff. In Silicon Valley, what I've seen is without idea, you can get funding as well if you have previous success rates and reputation. And your reputation of like building stuff that good. Robin, you built that and like got 3 million downloads. How did you make your first income using your first company at 14?
Yeah, the very first company we were just building websites for the company, so it was my very first money that I made.
How much money you made through your first startup?
It was
40?
It was like overall a couple of thousands of dollars probably.
So building websites for clients all over the world for a cheap price, like WordPress websites or like from scratch?
Everything, yeah. We built a lot of WordPress and a lot of websites from scratch.
Okay, and how about you? Can you break down the framework? How did you build in your college in India?
So I had been a developer since I was 12. So I had been building on different technologies. And when I was in the final year of my university, I was really annoyed that Flask didn't have async support. And I had been contributing to React Native before that, and I really liked JavaScript's async feature. So I wanted to create Flask with its async support. But then Rust was gaining popularity because Randall launched Dino, and I wanted to learn I wanted to learn Rust. So I thought, let's create a Python web framework with async support and let's write it in Rust. And I did my first benchmark and it was faster than anything else, which is why I started.
Yeah, and it was fast because you went deeper layer in Rust as well as deeper layer of C++, right?
Just Rust. So how usually a Python web framework works is they have a framework and a server, which are different entities. So you have Flask, Fast API, then you have UVCon or GUnicorn, which is a server. So I combined both of them, broke the traditional implementation of Python, and then told everyone it's a 2-in-1 package.
Wow. So 2-in-1 as in?
As in like the server and framework are shipped together in a Python web framework.
Simple example of this would be, let's say I want to upload data from a website. It goes to a different server and uses a different framework. Now with your 2-in-1 approach, instead of using Flask and maybe Rust or any server separately, you combine in 2-in-1 and made it faster as well, at least 3x faster, you mentioned.
I think at least 5 times.
Wow, that is fascinating. How old were you when you made your first paycheck through building stuff?
I think when I was 17, first year of university, I got selected for Google Summer of Code, which is how I got my first paycheck.
And later, how did it continue, the streak?
Then I did freelancing for a while. I was a CTO at another startup in the third year of my university. It was a small startup for helping agencies, investments, and then after that, I have been employed through internships or through my full-time job at Bloomberg.
So at 17, you made like $5,500 to Google's Summer of Code. It must be like a joke for you to get in, right? You had so much open source contributions before 17. I saw your GitHub.
Yes.
So
it was, yes, still slightly challenging because open source is not just about contributing, but also finding a community, interacting with the community, learning how to give feedback, especially learning how to take feedback at 17. Because at 17 years old, you are slightly arrogant. You do not take feedback super well. So yes, it was still challenging, but taught me a lot. I would say one of the best experiences I've ever had.
Okay, and then you started freelancing for startups.
freelancing for clients, people who were asking for websites, new startups who wanted an MVP for them. So just building small-scale websites and dashboards for a while.
How was your freelancing journey go? Like, where did you get clients? How did you start building?
Mostly through the word of mouth. Everyone just knew there's this 18-year-old who can create pretty websites. And I actually had my first client before I sort of officially launched freelancing.
Really fascinating. So how much money you made through freelancing?
Not that much, about 3 to 4 lakhs. Then I actually got bored of freelancing.
In which first month or something?
Yes, in 2-3 months.
2-3 months you were making 3 to 4 lakhs. That is like almost $3,000 plus.
Yes.
And you were bored. You were not chasing money at the time.
So I never actually really chased money. All my problems, all my projects have been emerged from solving my own problems or solving a problem. Money or revenue has been treated as a tool to solve this problem. Even here, we are creating an assistant that solves like our personal problem. And then we base it on a philosophy that humans are more alike than unalike. So if I am facing the problem, Arsen is facing a similar problem. Probably you are facing a similar problem.
I see. So idea is just you wanted to like solve problems, and freelancing seemed exciting at first, and then you gave up because it wasn't exciting.
The problems were repetitive and monotonous.
So at 18, you made like $4,000. And after that, what was the next gig you followed?
So at 19, I got back into contributing to open source again a lot. Was contributing to React Native, was giving talks at conferences, trying to interact with community. Then unfortunately, COVID happened. So for 1 year, I was not doing a lot. I was involved in my academia. The world was slightly messed up, as you remember. So contributing to just open source and practicing and learning more things until I finally created Robin. We're doing some interviews for companies. Created Robin, then moved to London and worked at Bloomberg and maintained Robin.
The key thing to learn is without any monetary incentives, you wanted to maintain that open source library, Robin, faster than Flask and Django. And what incentive you had to maintain an open source library without even thinking of getting funded? Because in Silicon Valley, raising funds are so easy if you have success like Robin, like 3 million downloads, like open source framework.
I think it was mostly because I needed something. I really loved Python. And Python by default is slow. If I could make it faster than anything else, I could use it to make other things. So always has been solving my own problems and just realizing everyone faces similar problems.
Fascinating. How about you? So you made first income at 14. How much money you made? 5K. And then later on in your journey?
10th grade at that time, at high school. And we were preparing for applying to universities. And we had a problem where you don't know your chance of getting accepted. You just prepare, you take SAT and different tests, and it's kind of a gambling. You just apply to 10 or 20 universities and see who accepts you. And we tried to build, at that time I went through summer school at Stanford on data science. That was my first time when I got introduced into data science. And just got super interested in it. Just started reading a lot of books and watching a lot of videos, trying to build different models. And then we started that company with my high school friends, classmates. We built an algorithm that would predict your chances of getting accepted based on your test results, on your essays, on your basically your student profile, everything that you have, and everything that you're going to send to universities. So based on that, we're giving you chances of getting accepted. And at that moment, a year later, in 2021, company, a seed stage startup in Kazakhstan, they were valued at 8 million at the time. They acquired us, and it was kind of, they acquired us basically. They just got that algorithm and they wanted to integrate it into their product.
So hired plus hired, it took your people. So that's acqui-hired, huh?
And I was leading the ML engineering team at that time. I was integrating that model, that algorithm into their product. And yeah, I was just getting a lot of experience of running an actual startup with with revenue. That was my first time working at a serious company, I'd say.
Wow. So you were building ML models and you got acquired because machine learning was a big, hard thing. So what kind of models you were building, like at the age of 15, 16?
Oh, a lot of, different models. I was just exploring. Obviously started from very basic statistical models at Stanford.
Wow, you were at Stanford at 15.
Yeah, that was a summer school. Yeah.
Okay, so Stanford summer school, you were 15, huh?
I'm not sure if I was 15, but yeah, that was a while ago. I don't remember how old I was. But yes, that was first time when I kind of understood what ML was at the time, because I tried to read some books before the summer school, and it was very hard to understand what was going on. I mean, I did some calculus before that, but still didn't get it. So yeah, everything, my ML journey started from Stanford.
You both had great success rates in the past, and still how hard it is with that much success rate, like creating a company, getting acquired or acquired, and then building a great open source project. So how easy it is to raise funds with that success?
I think it's still quite hard. And funding is not just about your reputation. It's also not just about the past, it's also about the future, right? So you still want to focus on your product, find a product that people actually want, and then you want to inject the funds into growing it or creating the best ever product. Yes, reputation helps, but still going through the same rocky journey is what it takes to build the most polished.
First, I totally agree with that. It's not just about your background, it's about the metrics, like the actual retention, how many users you have and how many users of them are using your product on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. So yeah, totally agree with that.
So how did you guys meet? Like, so is it easy for any 18-year-old coming to Bay Area and finding co-founders and raising funds with that success rate, you would say?
No, that was very hard.
Really?
It's really, really hard, to be honest. Yeah. It was very hard for me to get a visa here, firstly, for the very first time. I came here on B1 visa, spent some time here just exploring, working with different people. Thankfully, we have a huge community of Central Asian founders here, so I got a lot of support. But again, still wasn't able to build something truly successful, and something I wasn't able to find an idea that I really, really love, because before moving to the Bay Area, I was working at a startup as a chief of operations, and that was a very niche B2B startup for HR. And after that, I tried to build a lot of B2B specific narrow-focused ideas to solve some problems for businesses. And at some point, I just realized that I don't want to do that. I want to build something like for myself, something in the consumer market, something cool, because it's just the perfect time for that, and I'm young, I have all the resources to do that.
100%. Like B2B startup space is extraordinary. Like I would say like 90% of the startups in Silicon Valley are B2B SaaS, because it's so easy and fast to get profitable. Like Mercor AI, 100 million ARR in less than 1 year. For example, Deal got 800 million ARR that fast. So it's fascinating. Everyone wants to build in B2B space, and like you guys getting into consumer market, D2C, direct to consumer, or B2C, whatever you want to call it, it's just fascinating. And you were almost close to building something in B2B SaaS. What made you give up where the success rate is highest?
I think, first I picked an idea that was in a very, very crowded market, and
what was the idea?
I was building tool for first it started as a storage for LLM prompts. That was like the initial idea. Just store your prompts. You don't need to change them in your production code. You just store them somewhere outside of your code, so it will be very easy to iterate with prompts. And I couldn't find. Turned out that was not that big of a problem for companies. And at some point, I again realized that too many B2B narrow focused startups, and now companies have to manage 300-400 different tools. And as a person, as a consumer, you still have dozens of different products that you have to use. You're forced to do that. You can't, like, at this point, you can't change that. you just have a lot of tools and you're forced to use all of them.
100%. Now, let's talk about the ecosystem in Europe. You had to come from like UK. You were working at Bloomberg.
Yes.
Why did you quit your job at Bloomberg to come to Bay Area?
That's a great story, by the way.
So I was really not excited, not feeling the excitement. Yes, the people were nice, the problem was good, but after a while, everything gets repetitive. I was working at Robin, so I was seeing the direct impact that people got through my abilities, through the tool that I created. And then I had an idea of building Amirex. And the impact that you could have through that, direct to consumers, is what excited me. At Bloomberg, we were serving like businesses directly, which is clearly not something I'm really excited about. So just serving the people and serving myself.
So you got bored working at Bloomberg. Your idea was that you wanted to pick an exciting problem. How did you guys come up with this idea?
Actually was working on this idea on the side for the past 9 months before meeting Arsen. I tried different approaches, tried something in hardware, tried a desktop application, but this idea had been building in my mind for a while. Did a lot of experiments, and ultimately I decided to quit Bloomberg, go full-time on the startup.
Wow.
Call my friends. I knew some people at Entrepreneur First, joined Entrepreneur First and met Arsen there.
So fail fast is a principle. Like, you know, Amazon has the story of automating, building a startup. Like they created a search engine, they created the phone too, building, automating, testing, failing, and then quitting the project. And then trying something new, building, starting, failing, and then starting something new. So did you follow this structure when you were trying different startup ideas?
100%. Actually, like I usually don't want to start a startup. I have an idea and just realized that starting a company is the most sustainable way to go. I tried different approaches for ideas. Like I was contributing to have impact. I even created Robin, right? But at some point, if you're doing purely open source, it burns you out because you have 8 hours of job during the day, then 5 hours working on a side project, then managing everything, your personal life after that, you only have 24 hours in a day. So I really wanted to create this idea to a reality. That's why we started a startup. But us being technical is the biggest advantage, that we can ship fast, fail fast, iterate fast.
How did you guys meet then? Like, so you had the idea already, and how easy it's for someone like with 18-year-old or like 19-year-old like you, or like in 20s, to come to Bay Area with idea or without idea and just get funded. So like first you can talk about how did you guys meet and then how easy it is. Okay.
We met in London, actually, in Entrepreneurs First.
So this has like Entrepreneurs First is in UK as well as San Francisco.
Yes.
Starts there,
It
yeah.
starts. So it has three ways. There's a cohort in San Francisco as well, but we met in the London cohort. We got funded there, and then we came to SF after being funded, after raising a pre-seed.
Oh, so you guys met there, and so you first moved to UK as well from Kazakhstan.
I didn't move there. I just got accepted to the program.
Oh, nice.
That's
You applied
why-
remotely to Startup Exchange.
Yes.
No, it's not what it's called.
Entrepreneurs First.
So it's applied directly to Entrepreneurs First.
Yes.
You applied to different accelerators, incubators, and you got into this one.
Yes.
So like currently with extremely tough visa conditions, you think it was easier because you got into UK? Like right now, it's like visa is getting really hard for everyone. Like you first had to get into UK and then getting transferred to SF. That was the process.
Sort of. Yeah, it was a lot easier to get a UK tourist visa. But then when we got funded in January, I had to go back to Astana to get a US tourist visa. You got rejected once, and then I reapplied next week and got accepted, and then went straight away here.
Wow. So like, yeah, because this is a really important concern. Most people are scared getting visa, like these deportations and like visa restrictions. What are your thoughts on that, like right now?
US has always historically favored people building a company, contributing to the economy directly.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's changing anytime soon.
You're contributing directly to the economy, right? To the US economy.
Yeah.
They want as many corporations, startups
Because
as possible.
if you're successful, you're creating employability in the future.
Yeah.
100%.
And you're
Yeah.
paying a lot of taxes.
Amazing. How many accelerators, incubators you had to apply to finally get in? Like right now, when people talk about getting funded, right? You taught me that every incubator, every accelerator, or every VC want a J curve. Yeah. They just want like, oh, you're growing right now. If you have hit the J curve, the chances of getting funded is the highest. You have little bit of exponential growth, you have the highest. So how easy it is when you have that J curve, applying to different incubators, VCs, and then getting in.
So entrepreneurs first is slightly different here. They invest in people, not the ideas. Actually, I was the only person who went there with an idea. They usually encourage you to come without an idea.
Wow.
They invest in the person, they talk to them, understand their motivations, and then pair people. They basically invite a lot of smart people and hope that you'll find a smart person who you vibe well with and would want to build a company with.
Actually, this is a fascinating idea, but like it's not easy to get in, but your previous track record helps you, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you shared the track record. Now let's talk about the company. How do you build such a powerful AI assistant which goes wherever you go and you can search in it? So what it takes, because right now there are so many cool technologies coming in like MCP. So let's start with that.
So firstly, the idea is quite contrary to what everyone recommends you. There's been a classic wisdom of doing just one thing, and doing it well, right? But we created this layer that integrates a lot of existing tools. So first, to convince and convey that idea very well is a hard part. But then after that, technically, we created one of the fastest retrieval algorithms that we use for Amurex. It's, I think, 500 times faster than langchain.
Yeah, it's actually more than 500.
More than 500 times faster than langchain, which is used for the retrieval of search engine.
Really? So like langchain, people building AI agents, connecting different AI apps, and like let's say connecting Gmail to Google Docs, like that langchain connecting different apps and AI application is 500x slower than your approach.
Yes.
So how did you build such a powerful connector?
That's a trade secret.
Technically, yeah.
Technically, that's a trade secret, but the idea came from, like, Arsen was already working in the retrieval space because of his previous startup. And I proposed him the idea that we can build an AI assistant that follows you everywhere. So it started with meetings. Then we created the search engine. And that was just the perfect technology to integrate. So we worked together, refined it, and it became an evolving tech that scales well with your document.
Wow. So now you can connect like different apps, Gmail, Google Docs, 500x faster. And the data flows through to the AI chat. Wow. I know trade secret, you cannot share the algorithm, but can you share the agentic flow? How can someone out there build such an agentic flow?
So even before agentic flow, our focus is to get contextual understanding about you. People are building agents right now, but I believe no one's really using a lot of agents just because they're not smart enough. So we are focused on making the assistant smart enough, then possibly doing some agentic task for you. So the most important challenge, according to us, is contextual understanding about a person for an assistant to work well. If you were to hire an executive assistant, first you would expect them to know about you before them telling you any suggestions, right?
So to understand a user, how would you do it? You would extract all the emails and understand the style, understand that data, or understand all the nodes, which is like a lot of data. How do you understand a user?
That's exactly what we do. We form this memory layer around you, and the memory layer, to build a memory layer, we help you in a certain way. So we allow you the fastest access and then capture notes for you where you don't want to take. So we capture meeting notes for you so that you don't have to take any. But for the notes that you've taken already, we have this unified search engine across your second grade.
Oh, do you use like a database, or did you create your own Postgres database for memory layer, like RAG system vector database, or did you like use some existing ones like Mem0?
So we used a Supabase, but the retrieval algorithm that we use over the top is sort of trade secret.
Okay, fascinating. And here, a lot of models come into picture. Can you share what understanding you have with models right now, and how did you leverage that understanding while building it?
Yeah, that's actually the reason why we are going horizontal first, because if you go vertical. If you focus on one niche, for example, emails, you have context just about the emails. Or if you go to meetings only, you have the context only about the meetings and probably only about some like one job that they do. But since we're going horizontal, we can get as much data as possible that is available in the software. Different tools like Gmail, Google Docs, Notion, then we'll be expanding to other tools. So that's why we're going horizontal. And yeah, we just find a way to retrieve, to search that information very, very quickly and use it in a way that you would need it. So it won't distract you, but it will help you when you need it.
Okay, so you guys are going horizontal in different apps, because I see so many competitors on Product Hunt, which one app that categorizes your Gmail well, and but you're going every single, you're not just cleaning Gmail, but connecting all the apps. But what model leverage you use? Like what models you use? How do you leverage it well?
Yeah, for text generation, we basically use Llama 3.3 almost everywhere. I think everywhere.
Yes, but we use OpenAI as well, so we don't have any model loyalty. Yeah. We will use whatever is the best model. Yeah. We were considering Gemini for one of our use cases internally today. So as the model layer improves, we actually benefit a lot from it. So we don't have any model loyalty. Whatever's best for the job, we use it in different places.
With better models keep coming, for example, ChatGPT released the GPT 4.5, which is extremely expensive. How do you leverage the cost and the usefulness of a model in the right place?
So we, in addition to the usefulness, like the smartness, we also have a criteria, which is the faster inference. So we balance them with the fastest inference with the smartest intelligence in addition to the cost.
So fastest inference. So what model right now you see is fastest? I see Mistral really fast these days.
Yeah, it does depend on the model, but it also depends on inference infrastructure, which is, for now, we use Grok mostly because they provide one of the fastest inferences available and affordable.
But Grok 3 or 2?
No, Grok, not the Twitter one, but Grok with Q in the end. It's the company that built GPUs specifically, not for training, but for inferencing models.
Oh, so you use their infrastructure, and where you can use any model you want and inference it. That's the idea.
It's not any, it's like some models they provide exactly. For their infrastructure, but we use Llama 3.3 there, which is a 70 billion model for inference.
Why Grok over Open Router or stuff like that?
This Grok has the fastest inference.
Really? So it provides the fastest inference. It's like really growing. Where is it from? The Grok company?
San Francisco.
They're here in that view.
Oh wow! So they're providing fastest inference because they have more relationship with how.
No, they built. We actually went we were demoing at their HQ last week, I think, and they kind of shared why they're faster than others. And the reason is that a lot of companies start using GPUs and inferencing their models on GPUs, but they came up with an infrastructure that is focused that is designed just for inferencing, but not for training, because GPUs initially was not for training models at all. It was just for playing games, and people realized that we could use it for training models. And Grok figured out a way to build something that allows you to inference models, to run them faster.
Fascinating. That's amazing. So using the right tools at right places, that's an art. And you guys understood by being in Bay Area, it all connects. If you had to build this, because you got into entrepreneurs first, the incubator, how would it have been different building in UK versus US, or you had to come to San Francisco?
So we built the meeting copilot in UK, but we started expanding in the last week while we were in the UK. We are here in SF just feeding off the energy. People are excited about the AI assistant space. People are excited. People are the earliest adopters here. We have been interacting with people. We have been interacting with you. Just the excitement and the technical aptitude is miles ahead of any other place.
Yeah, I think it's not just the ecosystem. What I've noticed, it's the willingness to try. Here, whether you go to Product Hunt, whether you go to any conference, people want to try new products. People are more welcoming change. And other places all over the world, maybe they have the best startup, but the idea of welcoming change is really hard. And you welcome change when it's right in front of you somehow or the other. So that accelerates your growth. You got thousands of users right now. How did you get your first 1,000 users?
So we posted a lot on Reddit, actually. We went viral on Hacker News. We were on the first page of Hacker News twice through Reddit and through demoing at various places in SF. We were at the Grok demo. We were at a couple of other demos. I think SF here has the best people who will be your earliest adopters because they share the same mentality.
Okay, so this is brilliant. Wow. So it's like you started sharing as many places as possible without investing in ads, you started sharing as many places as possible and through word of mouth and presenting in person in SF. That's the most valuable thing.
100% of our users are organic. We never spend $1 on marketing.
Brilliant. And here, what do you think about scaling? Like you have raised your first fund, how you plan to use it, the pre-seed fund and maybe future seed fund to grow as much as possible. I see the applications. Yeah. It's so cool. How do you see growth?
So the growth has been thankfully very nice due to the word of mouth. And we want to leverage that for as long as possible. People invest in ads too early. And I believe that's them fooling themselves. They inject money into just raising the numbers. But all of it has been organic for us. Not only that will help us verify the product market fit, but also tell us when it's the right time to invest in a proper growth push.
So where do you plan to invest the funds you've raised?
A lot in infra, hiring the best people, creating the best product possible, getting designers, getting engineers, and then doing a growth push eventually.
What is the most expensive part of building an AI company in 2025? Because right now people with 2 to 3, how many people are in your team? 2. Just 2 of you. What is the most expensive part?
I think depends. There are 2 kinds of AI companies. We are an application layer company. For us, it will still be manpower. And when it comes a growth push. But for model level companies, it's obviously infra.
So Grok and everything, it's cheap. So if I have to consider one API call, how much cents would it cost? Like one user per 30 minutes of usage, how much it costs you? If you have to break down Grok.
I think it's very cheap, probably
cents, maybe tenths of cents.
Wow. In AI, there's a new Moore's law, 7 months AI capacity, cost. Capacity is doubling, cost is going half. So with that, it's really cheap, but it's just the manpower. And 2 of you have built it end to end, and now you can carry it forward. Why do you need more people then?
Just because we have a lot of users so that we can ship even faster. It's not, we are not targeting a very fat company where we hire everyone immediately. We still want to keep a lean model, but the highest quality engineers usually require a very high pay rate.
Yeah, in AI companies right now, the biggest problem is, the J curve is really fast. Like people are willing to try out, and the people usually, first month they will subscribe and cancel next month. That happens to so many AI apps. And within the first month revenue, people multiply by 12 and calculate the ARR. So it can be faked a lot. So that's why most investors wait for 3 months if the J curve is happening for months. Yeah. So how do you think about that? How much growth is predictable and how much growth is just trying and then fall out?
I think it depends on the product. We have been organics and we haven't been pushing. Our retention is quite high, actually. So we haven't been pushing a lot on ads. So we know the users who are coming, sticking to us, they are interacting with us in the community. It's usually a bad sign if you are unable to talk to the users. That's usually a bad sign if they're not interacting in the community or they're churning immediately. And just to fake the numbers, you inject some money and get a J curve.
And also, I think speed of shipping is also what matters a lot. Because we have to talk to a lot of our users and we understand what they want and we want to see in our product. So we keep shipping new features very, very quickly, and we learn from that. That allows us to keep the retention and grow, and make the product actually sticky.
The users are discovering our product through the word of mouth. That means someone who really likes a product is telling their friends about this good product they want to use.
So I see it's not artificial ads-driven growth. They try and forget. It's organic growth. So that's how you understand there's actual demand for it. And what do you know about building an AI company now, which you did not when you get started? So people can figure out this is the right way to start.
So initially we thought it would be hard, right? But turns out it's actually harder than. I think that's the beauty about entrepreneurship. Like everyone thinks it's hard, and when everyone starts doing it, it's even harder than what they've imagined. But what I would still do is think very carefully about what I want to do, and then just instead of just strapping AI over anything, just really deeply think about the product, and I'm willing to commit 5 to 10 years to it.
Amazing. Awesome. And let's go into the open source side of your project. It's completely open source.
Yes.
And what do you think about open sourcing an AI company where majority of the AI agents are not open source? Why? What is the thought process?
I grew up reading Richard Stallman and Linux tutorials. And
Who are they?
so Richard Stallman is the person who created GNU, the creator behind tools like Emacs and other core libraries for the Linux. And Linus Torvalds is the person who created Linux. And I owe and attribute a lot of my success to contributing to open source software, right? I started contributing to open source software when I was 16. I started using Ubuntu when I was 12. It feels weird when you have taken so much value from the community, and once you actually want to start creating value, you just add a paywall to it. You add a layer of hiddenness to it. So we want to be open again. The web was open first. When I started learning engineering, it became closed by all the obfuscation. Just want to be open again.
When web was closed,
So initially, when I started learning HTML, you could just inspect the source and you could see the entire website's code, right? Now it's just a single file, minified JavaScript, minified HTML. That's super hard to debug.
I see. So websites were more open source. You could hack them on the front end, even the back end sometimes by adding a script there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You could just write SQL injections. That was.
Yeah. Yeah, it's right now also a lot of websites you can write a function in the JavaScript, and if a function is hidden you can do that injection, but it's really hard now as people are getting more secure. So yeah, so it's closed now, but you want to start with open, get the feedback and contributions from all the developers in the world, make it as better as possible, and later on if needed you can make it close. That's what you're saying.
No, we'll probably never make it close. It's just against our morals, because we value transparency, and how people start believing that predicting that AGI will be this powerful technology in the future, right? If it's that powerful, it should be accessible to everyone. And given the fact that we are a layer over AGI, we are a consumer space, it makes no sense to, and if we become a powerful company, why would we want to be proprietary, right? So just on models and values.
Yeah, that is brilliant way to think about it right now, because even OpenAI said they were on the wrong side of the history by choosing closed source. Now, I want to go into the depth of technicalities. So if someone wants to start building an AI company right now, what model approach would you recommend? Where to start? If you had to build a roadmap, connecting your dots backwards, how would you build a roadmap for anyone watching?
I would still think about the problem that you're trying to solve. For us, it is solving all the mundane tasks in a human's life, right? And then see how you can leverage AI into that regard. The idea there is AI company or not AI company, it needs to solve a problem that people care about. And then see how AI can help you be better. For example, if I'm trying to solve the search engine, 10 years ago, it wouldn't be possible because the technology wasn't good enough for us to make a unified search engine. Now the LLMs are so good, we have the retrieval algorithms where we can actually do a unified search, which has enabled us. So probably the first thing is identifying a problem and then connecting it to time, seeing what problems are solvable now compared to 10 years ago, which were not solvable back then.
So think about the problems first.
Yes.
What problems are solving now, because we can have leverage with AI.
Yes.
And think about the problems, and right now tools are infinite. It's really easy to use any tool. Any AI agent can be connected with Llama, LangChain, MCP. If you have to consider MCP and LangChain right now, building AI agents from scratch, what do you think is the future? What do you think has the maximum use cases?
I honestly think agents will change a lot. Even LangChain or MCP is not the future. Maybe it will be the future will be created by the creators of those two companies. But no one really knows what agents are. Everyone has a different definition. So agents will evolve, so will the tool. MCP has a good direction in that regard, where they are trying to standardize the server. But I still think there's a lot of work to be put in that regard.
Really? To understand the AI technologies everyone needs, can you break down what technologies we need? Like I know that langchain is needed, MCP is maybe needed. Can you list all the technologies breaking down we need building an AI company?
Yeah, agent depends on the problem you're solving.
It depends highly on the problem you're solving. We can talk about the application layer company that we are trying.
Yeah. So an application layer company, if you can share all the AI agentic tools we need, langchain, MCP, can you list them down and break them down?
All right. So depends. So if you want to make an agent, probably MCP is a correct ecosystem to follow right now, because people are investing money in it. But we focus more on the retrieval side to get contextual understanding. And turns out our retrieval algorithm is faster than langchain.
Wow.
So you don't necessarily need anything. Yes, there are certain top-level topics, like a RAG is useful, LLMs are useful, but given enough R&D, I think you can probably swap them out for your own implementation.
Wow. So let's break them down. First of all, what is langchain? What is MCP? So langchain just pulls the data from any source, like Google Docs to Gmail, which you're trying to bring. But your algorithm is 500x faster. Yeah. But what about MCP? Where does it play? Define MCP too.
So MCP comes in when you have to interact with the agent somehow. You want to give it some interaction. Basically, the side effects of an agent. You want it to be interactable with your computer or your browser. So it's a standardized server implementation.
I see. So langchain comes when you bring the data. MCP comes when you interact with all the multiple data which you have pulled out.
When you want to take the actions on the data. So I would say an MCP is a standard for connecting AI assistants to systems where the data lives.
So MCP, Model Context Protocol.
I would imagine like MCP being the HTTP of AI agents. It's just a protocol. People are creating servers for that, but what people are proposing MCP for is just a standard.
It's a protocol which GitHub is using. It's a standard so many companies are using. GitHub is using, with which you can connect and have an agent. Like I can just type in my Cursor AI, create a project and push it. In one command, it would push it as well. Yes. So it connects different apps. But you still need langchain, which pulls data. So here, langchain will come in Google Docs. Pull data from Google Docs. You'll use langchain to pull it. But your algorithm, which you're using, is 500 faster than langchain. Yes. So that's how these two connect. What other tools in AI agents, application layer, you think of?
You obviously need the LLMs.
Which you use on Grok, G-R-O-Q, not K.
So Grok is the LLM hosting infrastructure. So LLMs could be divided into two parts. One is the hosting infrastructure. People can even self-host our application, run it on their own laptops, running on their own servers. So for hosting infrastructure, we use Grok. Then comes the LLM models, which is OpenAI, Facebook Llama, Mistral's models, and all the other big providers. You definitely need those two. And then comes the traditional tooling, like your front-end tooling, your back-end tooling, your front-end web frameworks, back-end web frameworks, a database. You can use a vector database, or you can use a traditional SQL database and add a vector extension to that.
Wow. So the extension is, now you have data coming in, data agentic with different apps. Now, the next goal is storing it, and you store it with a vector database. Most people use Postgres as a vector database. And with connecting with the vector database, you have now with Postgres a chatbot. You can chat with that data which you have. So this is how the end-to-end app is made. And how long did it take you all to build it? Like multiple applications. You have like connected with Notion, Google Docs, Gmail, sorry.
So we actually built the first version in a night.
Really?
Yeah, the very first.
The very first version of the app was built in a night. But obviously, to polish it and refine it, we have been working on the application for 2 months now. And that's all it took for us to create all the integration.
Wow. So 2 months, all integration. And you guys are building from the last 3 months now. Wow, this is fascinating. Why do you all say this is the best time to build anything, any startup for businesses, consumers right now?
Because the current AI tooling is so good. You have GitHub Copilot, you have Cursor, that can accelerate your workflow in such a great manner that you don't need a big team. You don't need like a DevOps person. You don't need someone configuring your database, handling it. You don't need a designer because you have tools like V0. Obviously, you do need them eventually, but if you have a skill gap at a certain place, the AI tools accelerate you and make your startup dream possible.
Yeah, what are the tools you can think of that has helped you build it that fast? Within one day, you had the first version. Would you say Cursor AI, V0, maybe Bolt? So what would you say for the tools?
So we use Cursor AI and V0 a lot, obviously with ChatGPT. And we sometimes also use Figma, but mostly it's ChatGPT, Cursor, and V0.
Wow, ChatGPT, Cursor, V0. What are the tricks you would recommend people to think of prompting to build stuff overnight like you all?
Yeah, we have very high prompt engineering skills, right?
I think the models have gotten so good that for the initial use cases, the prompt engineering skills are not, the bar for prompt engineering is not super high. You can just ask it to generate an app, especially with tools like Lovable and Bolt. But as you go further, I don't think prompting can even help. Then comes the software engineering skills at this point.
Wow. Scale the application. Fascinating. So if prompting is not needed as much right now, how much code is AI generated in your code base?
I would
a lot.
argue 80 to 90% of the code is AI
Wow.
generated, yes.
So go ahead, everyone. Go check out Amurex from the personal AI company in the description below. And thank you so much, Sanskar and Arsen, for giving incredible insights. And wish you all the best.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.